Hello, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on SI and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider podcast here at Arrowhead Stadium. There's the field right there below me, and I'm up here in the press box. The Raiders, according to Geno Smith, and I agree with him, by the way, who called the loss embarrassed by the Kansas City Chiefs, 31-0. And it wasn't that close. I mean, the Chiefs were taking knees and pulled Patrick Mahomes late in the third quarter, put Gardner Minshew in. The Raiders could do nothing. There are a lot of things I want to talk to you about today, so let's just dig right into them. Number one, coming into the game, the weakness that the Chiefs have had this year was running the football. Running defense. It was defending against rushing. And so down Brock Bowers, down Jacoby Myers, down Colton Miller, the logical thing is that you're going to try to run the football. It's what they do weak. When you're down your two best receivers, clearly that's not a strength. And you have a $6 million a year offensive coordinator, the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL. And the first quarter, they come out and they throw the ball 8 times, had 2 rushing attempts, only one by their number 6 overall pick, Ashton Genty. And on the day, let's get this right out of the way. On the day, Ashton ran 6 times for 21 yards. 6 times for 21 yards. And the Raiders only had 30 plays. I think it was 30. Ryan McFadden of ESPN gave me this stat, that it was the lowest amount of plays in an NFL game for a team since 1999, and it was the new Cleveland Browns' first game. This game, the game plan, and again, after the game, I was going to ask Pete. I didn't get the chance to. My buddy Vinny Bonsignor from the Las Vegas Review-Journal asked him the question first question, and that's, you come in down your 2 best guys off. What in the world are you doing running like that? Pete said it was the plan, but they got behind. That doesn't make sense to me, because if it was the plan in the first quarter, why would you have thrown 80% of your plays, albeit only 8, and not run the football? To me, this is a clear disconnect. Clear disconnect. This is almost malfeasance. If that was the game plan, and let me just say something to you. I 110% have never known Pete Carroll privately or publicly to be a liar. So I'm not going to call him one. If that was the game plan, your offensive coordinator went away from it, period. 8 times you throw it and only run twice. Only one was with Ashton. I mean, you just picked him 6 overall for a reason. Now, maybe it would have behooved you to work on the offensive line. Okay? But you didn't. And you picked them. And, oh, by the way, you're going against a team whose weakness is the rush. Now, for the game, I mean, you come out, and in fairness to Chip here, once the game's out of hand, or after 2 drives, but once the game's out of hand, then you throw with Geno 16 times. No interceptions, which is fine. No touchdowns, 67 yards. The Raiders look inept. They look, think of the adjectives, whatever you want to work on. I mean, they literally look impotent. They just look like they can't do anything. To have not done more with Ashton, especially early. All right, so you come back the second drive, and first of all, if that was the game plan, you wouldn't. Why come out and throw 8 times in the first quarter? Why not more Ashton? And I think it's very clear. I asked Pete in the post-game presser. By the way, all the videos up, you can go watch it. I thought Pete got a lot of really good questions, and I think he answered them head on. I thought Geno, in fact, afterwards, I even told Geno, I appreciated how open and honest he was with us in the press conference, and he doesn't duck anything. You may not like his answers, but he's not ducking. Go watch both those videos when this is over. But I mean, I said to Pete, when Geno has been at his very best, and at times he has been elite in his career, it's under center, play action pass with a developed running game, picking teams apart, not running. I mean, not dropping back all the time and running out of a gun and running out of a pistol. It's nonsensical to bring in a guy that you're now playing against his, at least if not against his strengths, you're not playing into where he has a track record of strength. I asked Geno about it. He downplayed it, said that, he felt like he has a lot of strengths. Okay, I respect that. I don't think his strengths are whatever this offense is doing. I don't think those are his strengths. At least he's not demonstrated that since the regular season has started. I asked Pete that very question as well. He said it was in the game plan, but because they got down, it wasn't something that they able to do. Okay. Those are their answers. I think this warrants a lot more, but I think there was a lot of concerns. You had less plays. You had less plays than the Chiefs had points. Literally, people started pouring out early before halftime. After halftime, there was thousands of empty seats. And before the third quarter was over, all the aisles were full and people leaving. And it wasn't because the Chiefs were losing. It was because they were bored. They were bored. The Raiders just did not look engaged today at all. Max Crosby, hurt knee, hurt back. He leaves. Adam Butler, his back spasm before the game. That was a massive loss. So you're down Adam. You're down Max. There are two of your defensive linemen, two of your very best. I think you have to look at, you let your best linebacker go in coverage, Robert Spillane, and Devin White and Elandon, who've played really good against Tennessee, but this is your competition. Okay, Tennessee's not your competition. They're a year ahead of you in a rebuild. Your competition is this team right here. This is your rival. This is your chief butt kicker. And they just destroyed the Raiders linebackers with the passing attack. And yet you thought it was warranted to let Robert Spillane go. Matter of fact, I got a text from an NFL person that said, wow, do they miss Spillane? It was a butt kicking. And you can try to decipher it. You can try to cut it. You can try to look at it in any number of ways. But this was an old-fashioned take you to the woodshed and kick your butt against a rival. I thought it was very, very forthright. And I want to give Geno a lot of credit for saying this is embarrassing. I asked Geno, what do you leaders say? And he goes, the time for talk is over. He goes, this isn't going to be fixed with talk. I asked Pete about, coming into the bye. You're now 2-5. Do you kind of switch focus? And he says, and he didn't really answer. He did. You can go hear his answer, but to me, it was a non-answer answer, and it wasn't him being evasive. He has bosses. I think that's very clear. I want to say this right now, and I'm not going to waver from it. I think, you cannot keep firing people and expect to get your program in the right direction. Okay? But I think that there needs to be a lot of people looking at themselves in the mirror. If I'm Mark Davis, again, I am going to call Tom Brady, John Spytek, Pete Carroll into my office. I'm going to send the bat signal into the air that tells everybody, the Raider signal. I want you in my office tomorrow at 5 a.m. And I would say to them, I want answers. I want to know how come I'm paying $6 million a year and you can't score. You can't score. What am I paying $6 million for? If this is a rebuild, why did we go trade for a quarterback? Why didn't we go pick one? And if you didn't think there was one to pick, then why didn't we go after a Sam Darnold? if you don't want to run a system to Geno's strengths. I'm going to say this to you. Please bear with me, but I think it is a very germane example. If you are there, I'm a horse person. You all know that. Thoroughbreds are built to race long races. Quarter horses are only built to race a quarter mile. So if it's a quarter mile race, you always want to use a quarter house. They will beat the thoroughbred every day of the week. But if it's a mile, mile and a half race, you always use a thoroughbred. They'll destroy a quarter horse. So both are great horses. I've owned both, but you don't go buy a quarter horse if you want to run a thoroughbred race, and you don't go buy a thoroughbred if you want to do quarter mile races. If I'm Mark Davis, I'm asking the question, what are we doing? I'm looking right at Tom Brady first. Tom, what are you doing? What's the answer with Chip here? What's going on? Then I'm looking at Spytech. All right, you didn't want to sign our best linebacker, a leader on this team, our best linebacker in coverage. And so we bring in these guys who let's give them credit. They have at times played really well. But this team right out here in front of us is the Standard, who just beat us 31-0. It's our biggest rival, and they killed your linebackers. Then I'm going to ask Pete is, what are you trying to do? And is there any confusion? Is there anything on this roster that, or in this coaching staff, is there anything between me and you, meaning between Mark, Tom, John, Pete, is there anything that there is a discombobulation of vision here? Because this is not what Pete Carroll's teams look like, and I'm going to get answers. But coming up here and losing, of which I said I thought they would do, there's no shame in that. To lose at Arrowhead to the Chiefs with all of their weapons back. I heard that this was the first game that they've had all their starting receivers since August, which was preseason of 24. I heard that last night at dinner. Okay. There's no shame in that. There was embarrassing shame in how this team lost. They looked woefully underprepared. Actions, meaning stats, don't match what we're being told was a game plan. And again, once you get down big, you throw the game plan out. And then the games become lopsided. I get that. But I'm going back to the first quarter. You had 10 plays, only 10, but you had 10 and 8 of them were passes. And only one was an Ashton Genty run. So you're telling me the game plan was that. So is there a game plan problem with you get in the game and Chip's doing what he wants? I'm not saying that. I don't know. If I'm Mark Davis, I want to know that. But I can tell you this emphatically, no guessing. This is not what Mark Davis has signed up for. And you know what? I told you guys before the year, this was not a team that had the depth or the roster to go to the playoffs. I told you their complete mindset was that this was not a rebuild. Okay? That's what they felt. Well, that's what it looks like now. I mean, clearly, you're not reloading. You weren't even competitive. I'm going to say that again. You're not reloading. You weren't even freaking competitive. You have 2 more games with the Broncos, another one with the Chiefs, another one with the Chargers. You got a game against Philly coming up. That's probably, if you're being honest, 5 losses there. So now you're 2-10. Maybe you beat Jacksonville. Maybe. I would probably bet that Jacksonville will be favored. Cleveland, the Giants, maybe. I mean, you're now staring down the gun at the worst record in all of football. Now, having said that, I have told you many times, and I believe you don't tank and quit and tell your team to lose. However, if I'm the Raiders and I'm Mark Davis, I am switching I'm going to tell Pete, I'm going to tell John, and I'm going to tell Tom. I don't care about your opinion. I don't care. You got us right here. We are going to pivot. We're going to play young players. We're going to play guys in the future. We've got over $100 million of cap space next year. We've got a lot of room on our roster next year. We're going to have to bring in a lot of people. I want to see who's part of the long-term vision and who's not. I'm going to turn to Spytek and say, get me every guy on my roster who has value in a trade that isn't part, that Pete Carroll doesn't tell me is not part of the long-term rebuild. Again, did you hear what I said? If I'm Mark, I'm looking at John Spytek saying, you go get me every guy that Pete Carroll says is not part of the rebuild, meaning they're not going to be here. This is a team that's the way they're playing right now, they're 2 years away from legitimately sniffing the playoffs. So who in 2 years, which means 28, I guess you could probably make a case for 27. So let's just say who here is under contract that's going to be a contributor in 27. Great. We'll keep them. Everyone else, let's look at trading them. Every one of them. And let's start looking for, okay, we got young players. Okay, I'm going to say this right now. JPJ gets taken out. I did not want to comment until I made sure that he was not hurt. He was not. Chris Jones was tearing him up. All right. So let's talk about that for a minute. Chris Jones tears a lot of people up. So to me, I have no issue with that. I have taken umbrage with some stupidity this year, in my opinion, with this Alex Kappa JPJ thing because it wasn't a competition, in my opinion. I thought at times it just reeked of juvenile. Okay, I understand why JPJ got taken out today. And had there been 4 Chris Joneses, you would have had to replace everyone on the offensive line. This was not an issue of picking on JPJ. This was an issue of nobody in the NFL has really proven they can control him. There's a couple, but very few. So I don't have an issue with that. That was not an issue to me. But Kenny Pickett comes in, first play at his own 10-yard line, fumbles the ball. Chiefs get the ball, and then they basically try not to score. And then if I'm the Raiders, you want to know what would have made me the angriest? And I'm not. But you want to know what would have sent me through the roof? Is they're kneeling. Hey, we don't want to run the score up on you. You're so bad, so we're just going to kneel. No, run the score up. Run the score up. Don't kneel. Luckily, there was nobody hardly in the stadium and probably nobody watching on television. I'm sure everyone was looking for, oh, great, here's an underwater basket weaving competition. This may be more competitive. This was a bad display, top to bottom, all 3 sides of the ball. I do want to give credit to A.J. Cole. I thought A.J. Cole, again, not even at 100, was phenomenal. But this was a very rough day for a lot of people. And starting with Mark Davis, all the way down. It was a rough day for fans. Several weeks ago, I made a comment on Twitter, and I addressed it today, and I'm going to address it right here, right now, head on. Where I put on there, I understand Raiders being very frustrated with the season, but I didn't understand I don't remember the word I used, but I didn't understand the level of vitriol, when it was Pete just a few games into the season. And I didn't understand it. I do now. I've been here 6 years. And I'm going to tell you, last year's team was terrible. This one's worse. Just look at the stats. It's worse. It's worse. And there's no other way to cut the pie. It's worse. And if I'm Mark, I want answers. I'm paying a lot of money. If I'm Mark, I want to know. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have a meeting with Tom, John, and Pete. And I'm going to tell everybody, Pete handles everything on the field. So Pete, you go talk to your coaches and you come back and bring us a plan of what we're going to do to fix on the field. I'm going to turn to John. It's your job to get the guys on the field that fits Pete's plan. What's going on? And I'm going to ask Tom Brady, who has a large voice in this franchise. I know it always seems to get downplayed, but I'm telling you he does. I'm not saying he's up there running but I'm saying he has a loud voice. Okay, what you got a loud voice, use it. And this is a team that what they just put on the field for Raider Nation is unacceptable. And I get it now. I understand why this fan base just is like borderline. What do we do? And this one hurts the fans because it's the Chiefs. It hurts because of how it went down. I mean, Andy Reid was going to do a trick play with Gardner Minshew, and I saw some people on social media telling me, that's low class. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not low class. You're his rival. Al Davis would have done it. He doesn't want to beat you. He wants to drive you into the ground and tear out your heart and soul. He wants to take hope out of your life. He wants to be the dementor to your soul. I have not seen the Harry Potter thing, but I'm told that that's basically this entity that rips out your soul. He wants to be your dementor. He wants to suck the life out of Raider Nation and just leave you helpless. So no. And if you don't like him doing trick plays, go beat him. Go beat him. That's his job. And Andy Reid did his. And so you go into the bye week. A lot of questions. Not a lot of answers. And at this point, this is what I would do. I would just simply say, all right, we're going to fight to win. We're going to come up with legitimate game plans. We're not quitting. We're not telling anybody to quit. But anybody that we think that we're not sure whether they're part of the rebuild or not, play them. Let's find out. And if it's a position where we don't think we have somebody who's going to be part of the rebuild, maybe we have a young player we don't think is proven or whatever, then play the older guys, but just understand we're now thinking, okay, there isn't a guy at this point right now sitting here in the NFL draft that is a Peyton Manning or an Andrew Luck, a Jaden Daniels. That guy's not there yet. Doesn't mean one won't emerge. Keep your eyes on Mendoza at Indiana. I know the Raiders are interested in him. And he's a good one. I don't know enough right now about whether or not he is that quality, but I know I'm starting to hear a lot of buzz around the NFL about him. But what I am saying is that what you just saw is the lowest point of the entire 6 years that I've covered the Raiders. And I'm going to tell you something. May God bless some of you that have been fans since the 60s. Wow. I'm not going to even try to sugarcoat it. An absolute embarrassing butt whipping. The loss wasn't. It was how they lost. It was how. Someone asked me if I felt they quit. No, I just don't think they're that good. And I don't believe they quit. And you can say, well, I think they're better than this. Okay. I think that may well be fair. But all I know is what I saw today. They were never in this game. And that starts with coaching. So you're not going to see me sitting here pouring out and pointing fingers at a ton of players. I'm going to point fingers at leadership because everything rises and falls on leadership. Absolutely unacceptable in every single way. This was bad. The worst loss I have seen from a Raider team because it was just everything. And then on top of it, to be a Chiefs team. And then you watch the Chiefs kneeling, trying not to score. That was more pouring salt in wounds than anything. Can you imagine Max at the Pro Bowl? Patrick Mahomes. Hey, how'd you like us not trying to score early in the fourth quarter? Putting Gardner in. They're going to have to live with that. Terrible performance. Unacceptable performance. I saw somebody send me a note that said, thank God Al wasn't alive to see this. Well, Al saw his share of losses. Let's not be melodramatic. But this one, and the thing I come back to is they're worse than last year. And Mark spent a lot of money to get away from last year and get into this year. Ouch, ouch. Things are bad. Now they got to figure out how to fix it. To me, I turn all my focus to 2026. Okay, we're rebuilding now. And you know what? They're lucky I'm not Mark, because I'd be like, okay, we're rebuilding. Let's go. Get young guys in there. Listen, if we're going to lose 31-0 to the Chiefs, then I'm going to lose it with young players gaining experience. So next year, the learning curve is not as deep. Sorry, but you're not going to the playoffs this year. So why not get something productive, which could be reps and growth for next year? That's just facts. It may not be facts that everyone wants to hear, but it's facts.